Hello, hello, hello. Huh. Okay. Please carry it over on the hand truck. If you can stack them on the hand truck and wheel them over here if you want. I put boards on the hand truck to cushion them, and so they won't fall through the cracks in the back of the hand truck. And so usually I stack them up anywhere from 4 to 8 bags high, and then wheel them over. Now save your back. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Oh, hey, there's people. I love people. Hello, people. I am going to set up my thing over here. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, I can hear you. What's your question?
So at the end of November, we were wanting to leave like a week before school actually ends.
Yeah.
Do we need to be here for like our final thing, or can I bring like the clay home and do it at home and then send pictures?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, you don't have to be here. Yes, good question. Thank you for asking. And I'm going to continue moving my stuff over to the other table for the sculpture thing today. So bear with me while I'm moving stuff around. But yes, that's a good question. I'm flexible. We all have to be flexible in an era of COVID and whatnot and stuff. And so we are being as flexible as we can to accommodate you guys and your needs. We changed around the whole calendar so that we got done the week before, or the week of Thanksgiving, trying to get you guys out of here and not have to come back after Thanksgiving. So that was a thing, and that was a good thing. Okay, so now that I'm sitting in my new spot, I'm going to try to reach my keyboard and mouse and stuff. And lots of people are arriving, so this is good. I'm going to put the pin video on me because I like being pinned video guy. So I'm going to be pinned video guy for a little while. And that'll take the spotlight off of you for a while, which is good. We got 5 people in. I'm going to turn on the participants list so I can see who's all here today to manage, as if I can manage the participants. And yet, that's what it says. And so we're going to try. All right, let's see. Rhea and Nessa and Christopher and Aurora are here. Fantastic. I'm going to open up the chat box to see if you guys want to write me anything that you don't want to actually open up your mics and say out loud, because sometimes that's a thing. And put this over here. So the chat feature is available for us in case, you want to chat in text. Okay. I'm going to turn on a studio light so that I have my TV lights on. To make this the James Fritz cooking show. Let's see. So, God, it's 1 o'clock already. I suppose we're supposed to start class now. So hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. We're going to start class pretty soon. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to unmute your mics and fire away on the questions. I wanted to continue the discussion and talking about a second mask because I'd like you guys to actually make 2 masks for this mask making section of the class. Your first mask was going to be, I don't know, just about anything you wanted it to be. The second mask, I wanted to challenge you a little bit more and see what we could do about that. So I'm going to take attendance in a couple more minutes when everybody gets here. In the meantime, while you're here, let's see, when can I bring my mask in? Okay. So I'm accepting them all the time, basically, ever since last Friday when we started to have people dropping off. So I've had about 4 or 5 masks dropped off so far. Um, and so bring it on over when it's done. I prefer you to bring it over when it's leather hard rather than when it becomes bone dry. So that makes them transport a little bit easier, and that way the mustaches and the horns and the noses don't get broken off quite so easily. Neither do the dingleberries or the ears or any other crazy feathery thing that you may have put on there. So I'm in Eden Hall, and I'd like you guys to bring them to the side door on Eden Hall. My TV studio here is in Eden 7, the design studio. And so the doors are right here on the west end of Eden Hall. If you guys could just bring them right on up here, I've got a little bench, park bench sitting outside the door. You can leave them on the park bench, and that'd be fine. Um, if you can come, during business hours when I'm here, I can receive them, and then I can give you another bag of clay if you're running out of clay, and that kind of thing. The best time to bring them are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've got a 9 o'clock morning class and a 1 o'clock afternoon class. So if you bring them at 10 o'clock or 2 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, I'm usually here to receive that stuff. And then you're not disrupting my Zoom lecture with my design class. And I can talk to you and social distance and get you more clay and all that stuff. So that'll be fine. That's good. Okay, that killed a whole bunch of time. Thank you for the question. It was a good question. And yes, I've got about 5 masks in. So anybody who has finished their first mask, bring it on in, and we'll get it dried out and fired for you. I'm already stacking the first kiln full of stuff here. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to switch videos to the bird's eye view of my tabletop so we can talk about this stuff a little bit more. See what happens here, because it's also interesting. And so I still have something that is passing leather hard now. This mask, my first demonstration mask, is passing leather hard and getting to be just about bone dry. So leather hard is when the clay is dark in color, but it's really, really hard. It's no longer moist clay. It's not yielding to the touch anymore. And as we get to bone dry clay, it starts to lose its deeper color, and it becomes a very much more blonder, whiter color. It becomes a light gray color of clay. So I don't know if you can see the difference between these two masks here. This one is leather hard and still moist, so that I can cut stuff off and make changes and put it back together again. This is beyond leather hard. This is now bone dry, so it really needs to be done with. So I'm going to flip this mask over one more time, let you see a little side view of it, and flip it all the way over. I think I scratched and slipped my eyeballs to make sure they got in. And so once again, you guys have been doing this already enough so you kind of know this, but these little lumps right here, these positive lumps on the back, are where the 2 eye sockets are. So I can't really hollow them in very much because I kind of bust through the back of the eye sockets. But in the forehead area, I can hollow that out a lot deeper. I made a provision up here for some kind of a thing to catch a nail, to be able to hold the nail in place. And I must have put clay in that was just a little bit softer than the outside base clay. The base clay must have already been a little bit on the leather hard side, because I can see a little crack has formed here and a little bit of cracking formed here. So what happened was the softer clay shrunk more than the drier base clay, and so a little crack happened. Right now that crack is a little bit more of a cosmetic crack than an actual crack that I'm going to worry too much about, but I can see what happens when you add soft clay to drier, a little bit harder leather hard clay. The dissimilar amounts of moisture in the clay make the clay shrink at different rates, and that's why it cracked just a little bit there and just a little bit there. I've got this hollowed out for the nose down here. Since I've got such a deep and large volumetric nose, I went ahead and did a lot of, I cut off the nose basically to spite my face. That was a joke, you're supposed to laugh. I cut off the nose and hollowed it out, and hollowed out the area behind the nose, scratched and slipped, scored and slipped the two surfaces, and put the nose back on, and then blended it in so you'll never see. So nobody will ever know. Okay, and this mask is just a little bit asymmetrical in that I was able to, with the metal rib, I was able to blend and smooth a little bit of texture on this cheekbone and on the forehead, while I left this cheek additive process texture. And then I put a little couple of dingleberries on that eyebrow, but I left this eyebrow additive process texture so that I could just play with some variation in the mask. And I'm just trying to, you know, encourage you guys to think outside the box, to sculpt outside your comfort zone if possible. Now, I got some fantastic, fabulous masks that were delivered, and they are so cool. Maybe I should go get one and show it to you because I'm so jazzed about them. I'm looking again over at the participants list. Nobody's got their microphone unmuted or a little blue hand up, so I don't see anybody wanting to ask a question. And no more questions are in the group chat. Can you guys just hold the phone? Just hold the phone. Wait just a second here while I go get a mask or two and see if I can share from this vantage point some of the things that got handed in on Friday and on Monday. I'll be right back. Oh, you guys are so patient. This is so good. Thank you. All right, I'm back. I'm rejoining you again. And so I'm going to take my nasty mask. I'm going to pick my mask up by the nose. How about that? That's kind of frightening. But at leather hard and not quite bone dry, the masks are just a little bit more durable. Hey, look at this. Here's a mask that I can show and tell about. This is Paula's mask. I hope that she doesn't mind me showing it. Let's see if she's here. Paula, are you here? All right. So this was one that was in progress last week, and she shared it from her desktop at home and then came in. Now, let's just give her a little positive feedback, shall we? Because Paula was feeling a little bit bad about this mask because for some reason it didn't turn out the way she wanted it. It either didn't have enough texture to satisfy her need for texture, or the forms didn't quite satisfy her need for, I don't know, symmetry or something like that. But would anybody like to just go ahead and unmute and say how you're feeling about this mask, and maybe give her some positive feedback on it, just in case you can see the mask and want to just venture in, because I think she doesn't want, but I'd like you guys to offer a few pats on the back, a couple of attagirls or something like that, because I think it's a fairly fun, successful, cool mask. And look at that. Boy, my camera sure distorts stuff if it isn't exactly right underneath the webcam. So let me just move it over so that it's absolutely there, perfectly centered underneath the webcam so that it doesn't look like it's bent out of shape. So you guys don't really like to talk, do you?
I was just about to say something.
Who's that? Oh, Aurora. Hi.
Aurora.
It's Aurora and
Hi.
Catherine. Hello.
So I really like, I don't exactly know how she did it, but I like the way that she got the fur texture in there. Like I was having an issue with trying to figure out how to do fur texture like that without making like actual fur shape, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I
I
like the way
think maybe when it was just a little bit stiffer, like a soft leather hard or something, might have even used a loop tool to kind of like carve off stuff with either the rounded part of the loop tool would give you a little bit larger texture, and the sharp corner of the loop tool would go a little bit tighter texture. I believe that's what I'm seeing on here. Paula, you can chime in if you want to. Catherine, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna also like comment on the fur texture. I like how she was able to like get it smooth and like bring another element to it. And I also like how she did the eyes and made them more like and it makes them pop more and more realistic in a
Yeah.
sense.
That's cool. And, you know, there was a little bit of kind of discussion or whatever about, you know, was this going to be like a half human, half cat kind of a face, you know, like the musical Cats or something like that. And in the end, it probably became a lot more cat-like. The eyes with a vertical pupil in the eye become way more cat-like. Um, I also noticed all of the little holes down here for whiskers, and I'm wondering if um, mixed media whiskers are going to be added after the fact, maybe poked into those holes or not. Otherwise, I just like them because it's the suggestion of whiskers and it's a different texture pattern down here than the rest of the fur texture pattern. But I like these holes, and they could go either way for me. And if Paula wants to unmute her mic and say what's going to become of those texture holes, that would be fantastic. I need to just take a moment while you guys talk amongst yourselves and say something. I need to just go through the participants list and see who's all here today so I can take attendance and give you guys participation points for being here. And so I'm going to do that. Paula and then Aurora is here.
I
So
thought
you
about
guys just go
putting
ahead.
a fishing line.
You going to say stuff?
Yeah, I thought about putting a fishing line in there. That's true. I had a couple that punched through. I thought about also or drilling those out so that if I put a glow stick inside of it, it will show through where the
Okay.
whiskers are at. And the texture didn't show up on the camera as deep on the left-hand side as it is on the right. That's a little disappointing.
Oh, it's my lighting situation. I've got some general
Oh,
lighting
okay.
in here that sometimes kills your texture. I can see the texture way better than it's showing up on the webcam right now.
Okay, so it didn't get smashed out with my crazy driving from
N-
Braden's.
No, there's plenty of texture on here. It's just, you know, it's lighting. Sometimes lighting can really kill the texture, and so, or it's actually, you know, the bounce lighting, the fill lighting from the other side is the stuff that can really knock down texture. Sorry, so Elizabeth is here. I'm halfway through taking attendance, and then I'll be right back with you guys again, if I can just figure out. Oh, there she is. Okay, and Nessa, and scrolling down just a little bit more, Rhea. Okay, all right, and is that everybody? That's everybody. Well, that's too bad. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people here today. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see everybody that is here. I got one more mask to share with you. I'm going to pick this one up and move it. Oh, by the way, nice job of hollowing it out on the backside. Very daring. You got to a 1/2 inch of uniform wall thickness on this. I like your provisions for putting a string or a wire across these 2 points to have a hanging device on the back. That's a really nice alternative kind of a thing, so that's good. I got Daniela's mask here, and Daniela isn't here, but her mask is certainly yelling at us. And so Daniela went for something that was fun, different, kind of realistic, looks fairly human in terms of eyes, nose, and mouth, and yet the artist has exaggerated the size, I think, and proportions of the mouth a little bit. Somehow I got the hiccups. I'm sorry about that. I like the textures or the lines of the worry lines and stuff on the forehead. I like some of the lines that are being played with as other crinkly skin crinkle lines in the grimace of the face here, around the nose, around the eyebrows, and that kind of thing. I like the smile lines that I have been kind of etched in here too, that really help to kind of reinforce the idea of the mouth in tension down here with the scream and the yell that's going on. And so I think it's a really fun mask. I like the teeth. I think the teeth are fun. And so, you know, it's wonderful. It's a great little mask. I need to morph or transform from the show and tell part back into the second mask that I wanted us to work on. And then I will answer all of your questions, comments, and complaints about trying to do something that might be, I don't know, artistic, that might have to do with Pablo Picasso or Cubism, because you might not like that. But anyway, so this is the one I blasted out last time. And so it's based on the idea of Cubism and those Pablo Picasso Cubist portraits that I showed you examples of last time. So the salient characteristics of Cubism is to have different views of an object from different orientations in space or different perspectives, all kind of synthesized into one view from one side, especially in a painting. So like this eye over here is a very frontal eye. I'm looking straight at the front of the face, and that frontal eye is looking straight back at me. And so that makes a lot of sense. But this eye over here got put in sideways. And so this eye is seen from the silhouette, from the profile view of the person, and it's looking that way. But the profile eye has been synthesized into the frontal mask, so that it's kind of strange. It's also not in alignment with this eye over here. If we were going to draw a horizontal line across the mask, you'd like to see the other eye in this spot right here, and instead this one has been moved up and out of alignment with the other eye. So in Cubism, you can do this stuff. You can think way outside the box, and you can sculpt way outside your comfort zone. I took the nose and ran the bridge of the nose kind of this way to get, again, a nose kind of seen from profile. So we've got the bridge of the nose kind of in a triangular profile view, and yet I moved both nostrils over here to this side of the tip of the nose right here, and you can't see the nostrils really well, so I'm sticking my fingers inside the nostrils so you can see the two nostrils with the septum separating the two nostrils right here. Again, it's an abstraction. It's a cubist approach to a human face. The mouth over here is off center. It's down low. This is one of those things that I think he was heavily inspired by the African masks, with the elongated oval of the African masks, and then the tiny little mouth underneath the really long nose. All of that was stuff that he ripped off from African mask making culture and the kinds of abstractions that they were doing. But to his credit, I think that Picasso in his Cubist period didn't just completely steal those concepts without changing them to suit his own needs. And so the lips, the mouth, the nose, they are more human in shape than the geometric abstractions that the African masks were using. So he borrowed some of the exaggerated shape sizes, the proportions, I think he borrowed and continued to borrow from the African tradition. But I think he went back to other traditions that he was mixing and matching, traditional Western approaches to lips and nose and eyeballs, except he was being rather creative about the relative sizes and proportions of those things in the face. So I did a bunch of that stuff. I blew this thing together really fast with additive process. Then I did, once again, come back with the rib, the metal rib, and smooth certain areas. So I hit the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose. I hit this cheek over here to make a rather large smooth area on that cheek. I hit this chin down here to make a smooth portion of the chin. I think maybe this cheek and a little bit of the forehead. Everything else still has a whole lot of very soft clay additive texture left. So it's a combination of textures. And it's taken me 35 years to get comfortable with the idea that I don't have to be in control of every single aspect of the mask, that I can control certain things and I can make certain decisions about places where I want there to be smoothness, and I can just leave other places as rough and nasty as I roughed them out, and it'll all be okay. But when I was in college 35 years ago and my teachers were trying to get me to go out beyond realism and try to do things that were about expressionism or abstraction or that kind of thing, I was in total full reject mode of that kind of stuff. So I know where you guys are coming from, and I understand if this is a really hard pill for you to swallow and difficult for you to try these things out. All I can do is to demonstrate them, to talk about them, and to talk about how artists can mix and match different styles and different traditions as they get influenced by different influences. And so this is the deal. And since we are in the Halloween season now and we're used to seeing things that are ghastly and nasty and different, I wanted to go back into art history and show you ghastly, nasty, and different in terms of Cubism, and see if anybody's interested enough to bite on this Cubist hook. And if not, that's okay. Okay, let's see. So I got distracted. I was looking at, let's see, both the participants list. Catherine has her hand up. So let's go to Catherine and see if she's still got something that she wanted to contribute. Catherine, are you there, or did we answer your question?
I had a question about the mask. I made mine, but mine's not as extreme as yours, so I wasn't sure if that it would still be fine.
Oh yeah, you don't have to be extreme. I'm just happy that you're willing to give something a try that isn't just perfectly balanced, perfectly symmetrical, pretty. Anything that takes us outside of just trying to make a human mask with human forms and proportions is fine. On the other hand, if you already did something that was kind of African and abstracted on the first mask, and on your second mask, if you'd like to make something more human and refined and in proportion, that's fine too, as long as I can see some variation and difference between the two masks. As long as one mask is being, out there in creative land, thinking outside the box and sculpting outside the comfort zone, and then the other mask is a little bit more in your wheelhouse, in your comfort zone, that's fine. I just wanted to try two different masks for this mask unit as a way of easing us into sculpting and to give everybody a second bite at the apple. Because once you did a mask and got all of that, tight concern, about texture and form and everything kind of out of your system from the first mask, I was hoping that you could kind of be a little bit more freelancing about playing with forms and proportions in your second mask. So that's—
I finished my second.
Say again?
I finished my second mask.
Oh my God. Do you have any clay left?
Yeah, a little.
Oh, good. Okay.
This is it though. Like, I kind of got your vibe from it, I feel like. So, I don't know.
I'm going to come back up here so we can talk to each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I finished both of them. Cause when we were talking, I kind of just was inspired and went ham.
Look, you're a star. Hi. I'm glad you're inspired. That's cool. So you've got two masks done. That's fantastic. Please bring.
I just keep forgetting to let them dry so I can hollow them out. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. Well, see, that's an important thing. And while you're talking about that, I could do a little teeny bit again, demonstration of hollowing stuff out if you'd like to see. If anybody didn't see my hollowing demo the first time, I'd like to just give it 3 to 5 minutes while we continue talking about this. Would that be okay? Okay. Which means I'm going to go back to my bird's eye view cam and change things here. So I've got that. Hey, it didn't go. So I'm going to do it again. And other cam. Here it comes. I've got all these very, very special, precious masks here. Really, James, come on. I guess it went the first time, and then I didn't do this over here to make this happen. Pin the video, put these people all away so I can see what I'm doing. My desktop is just completely full of stuff here. So I've got my thick masks. I uncovered this last night so that it would have 12 hours of dry time before today. And so now I'm at leather hard. So I'm going to take this mask and pick it up, and it's going to be all of 20 pounds or so. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to have to use my wire tool to cut it off the board because it is well stuck onto the board again. So once again, trying to slide the wire tool underneath the board and cut your leather hard clay free of the board like so. Okay. And then I can pick it up probably by its nose and the side of itself. I'm going to bring my plastic bag full of soft things to make a pillow so that I can put my mask upside down on the pillow like that. And then take some kind of a sharp object. This just happens to be my wooden trimming stick, but you could use your needle tool or anything that you can draw a line in the clay. I kind of want to draw a line in the clay. I kind of also need to remind myself that I'm going to need to have some kind of a spot right here to be able to create a hanging device to hang my mask on a nail. And having said all that, I'm going to use the larger of the two loop tools to be able to really get some large scale coils of clay removed from the back of the mask and start piling them up someplace. So a lot of people will do this and they're really afraid of busting through the other side of the mask and then having to replace your divots. And one of the things I'd like to try to get you to be comfortable with is the idea that you can exactly bust through the front side of your mask and you can replace that divot and make repairs, because this is just clay. You know, it isn't made out of stone. You're not going to completely ruin the thing if you just bust through the other side. And the only way to be bold in art is to take chances, be daring, try stuff, and not be afraid that you're going to wreck it, you know, every time you turn around. And so I'm going to just be bold until I actually bust through the other side. And that'll tell me that, I must be getting close because I busted through the other side. And so we continue. Now I've taken, like, it seems like about 5 or 10 pounds of clay out of here. And I think I just busted through right here. Looks like the back side of the eye socket where the eyeball was put in. And so I'm going to take a little piece of clay right here and replace this divot right here. And then I'm going to draw a little bit of a diagrammatic thing back here so that I know where the eyes are. So that's where one eye is. The other eye is kind of high and outside over here for a ball, if you're playing baseball. So the eyes are not on the same plane on this mask. So I've got one eyeball up here and one eyeball down here. So I'll need to keep that in mind as I continue hollowing stuff out. Are there any questions from anybody while I continue in my destructive mode here? I think I did bust through in a couple places on the back side of this eyeball over here. And so once again, I'll take a little coil of clay and just push it in there and then blend it together on the back side. And you won't even hardly see where that was on the front side of the sculpture when you come back to it again. But now that I know that I am in a zone where I'm busting through, I'm going to make some just indications here that there's two places that are their eye sockets or something, so I don't need to go any deeper in those two spots. And so I'm going to continue going deeper, maybe in the forehead, and maybe up underneath the place where I want the hanger to be. And so actually right here where I'm going to put my hanging device, I can undercut this. I can go underneath and back up inside of there and make a little bit of a cave. And this surface right here, if I leave this just a little bit proud and even take the clay and kind of reinforce it, roll it over and make it nice and strong and round it over and compressed again with my thumb, that's going to be the spot that I want to hang the weight of the mask on when it hangs on a nail. Let's see, my nose, the tip of my nose is way over here. This is the tip of my nose right here. So I kind of know that my nose is kind of going this direction. And I might want to try to get into the back side of the bridge of the nose, kind of going in this direction like this. Oh, I just...
A quick question.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay, so my mask had gotten like pretty bone dry when we were on video last week, and you said to re-moisten it. Which
yeah, did that
I've
work?
done. Yeah, it worked. It's back to like the almost leather hard now that I've pretty much finished working on it. But I did get some cracking in it, and I've been trying to, like, as I find the cracks, go in and fill it with my slip and make sure that it's not turning into like full-on straight through cracks. So is that something that you will take a look at before throwing it in the kiln to see if it's going to crack when I fire it, or?
Okay. Most of the cracks would be more of a superficial crack and not a huge structural crack, but I will look at them. And yeah, every time I'm trying to put clay back together again and it's leather hard or something like that, I'll do a lot of smoothing, blending, and compressing of the clay with my fingers to try to really get that clay convinced that it's going back together again, and that's what I want it to do. Because sometimes the clay needs a lot of convincing. So like on these edges, when I'm pretty satisfied that I've got an edge as deep as I want it to be, and if I think that it's not well integrated enough and it needs to be a little bit more rounded over, compressed, and smoothed, I'm going to do all that. And I'm going to try not to add any more water to it, so that because when you add water to clay, the clay wants to expand to absorb the water, and then it wants to shrink again when it's drying out, and that expansion and shrinkage winds up, making the clay do things that make it want to crack. So I'm trying to resist the idea of adding any more water to the system as I'm doing this. Now, I forgot to tell you that I'm employing just a little bit of my pottery techniques as an old potter and pottery teacher, and so I am feeling the thickness of my wall kind of from both sides, trying to see what it feels like, as if I was throwing a pot with both hands and feeling the outside of the wall and the inside of the wall with my fingertips. And that also kind of helps me gauge my thicknesses, so I know whether I'm going too deep with my trimming or not deep enough or whatever. I've got some real super thickness up here. This right here is about 3 inches thick, so I'm going to continue hollowing this out while we talk some more. That was a good question, and I just busted through in this spot right here where my finger is. So I'm using my outside hand as a support while I put that piece of clay on in the inside, and I'm going to keep on going because I want to. So I'm going to keep on hollowing some of this excess clay out of here, out from under here. It's just extra thickness, and I don't need the thickness. And if I can have thinner walls, then it will hang on a thinner nail. It won't damage the wall of my house that I'm going to hang it on quite so much. If I can thin this out enough so that it's under 5 pounds, it would hang on just about any wall that I wanted it on. I could hang it on drywall. I don't even have to put it on a stud if I can get this thing, you know, hollowed out enough to really be a lightweight, a surprisingly lightweight piece of clay. Anyway, that's a lot of hollowing, and I guess here's the bridge of my nose so I could continue going way deep with my much thinner loop tool to really excavate my twisted, what do you call it? Cubist nose, which I just blasted through the front of here. So I'm going to replace a divot in the front of this nose. Oh, that's interesting. Actually, the nose itself bends, and so I might not even be able to get in as far as I want to with this, but I am just investigating all things. So I'm super deep into the bridge of that nose right now, and I don't think I can even reach to the tip of the nose. Maybe I can with my tool, but you can see how I'm just really going super deep with this and blasting through. I'm still not even into the tip of the nose yet. That's enough for a demonstration for now. I'm going to take this thing back off of here and flip this mask back over again. It still weighs at least 7 to 10 pounds, but I took 10 pounds of clay out of this thing already. That's the clay that I took out of the back of the mask, and I could still spend another 15 minutes or half an hour refining the removal of clay in the back of the mask to try to get it to become more uniform in its wall thickness and lighter weight generally. Okay, so Aurora, you've got a hand up. I'm sorry, I keep talking and I don't check this very often. Did you want to say stuff?
I had already said something. That was me talking to you earlier.
Okay, did I talk over you?
No, you
No,
answered my question.
Okay, that's good.
It was about the cracking once you're trying to like get the clay back to a leather hard state after it got bone dry.
Ah, okay. Check. Gotcha. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, this is kind of weird for me to try to do demonstrations like this and then like sign off for the day and completely cut you guys loose. But you're actually getting more demonstration than I usually do in a face-to-face class because I've got I've got a captive audience that can't get away. And you all have a front row seat to this. If I was in a studio situation, some of you would be 20 or 30 feet away from me, and none of you would have exactly the same view, and none of you would have the optimal view of being able to see what I'm doing. So in some ways, this is actually winding up just a little bit better than if we were in a studio together. The only problem with all of this is that you don't have the togetherness of a class where you are becoming colleagues with each other and developing an esprit de corps in the class. And that is something that I miss, because to hear you guys laughing with each other, joking about this stuff, throwing balls of clay at each other, that's kind of an important part of the learning process too. But you know, I want to keep these videos pretty short so that I can post the videos, and I am trying to post some of these as YouTube videos at our e-learning page, so you can refer back to them later if you want to. Since it's mostly me talking, you probably don't want to. But anyway, it's there as a reference if you want it. I wanted to try to wrap up this mask this week. So if it's possible for everybody to get their second mask done and to bring it in, that'd be great. I want you to pick up another full bag of clay when you drop off the second mask, because we're going to need at least 1 to 1.5 bags of clay to do the next sculpture, which I think we're going to start next Tuesday. So I'd like to wrap this sculpture up this week if possible, And if you guys can take a photograph of the sculpture so that you can do a share screen of it next time, I'd like to do a little bit of a critique next time. So photograph your sculpture in good light and have that document open on your desktop for Thursday so that we can do a little bit of screen sharing and some critiquing. Plus, if you've still got your piece in, a leather hard state and you're still sculpting on it and want any kind of, final, help, deciding what to do or what to do about textures or whether, anybody likes your kind of strange composition that might be out of balance or whatever. That's a great time for us to give each other feedback so that you still can get a couple more licks on finishing up your sculpture and getting it done before it gets to be completely leather hard. Okay, what's our next assignment? I was wondering so I can come up with ideas. The next assignment is an abstract, free-form, non-objective sculpture in the round. Let me say that again. It's a free-form, non-objective sculpture that is an in the round piece. It's going to be a standing piece that stands on a pedestal or a table that can be viewed from 360 degrees all the way around. And so instead of being something that hangs on the wall as a relief sculpture, it is definitely going to be a sculpture that can stand all by itself. It's a sculpture that I really don't want to look like anything, and so I'm going to have to do a presentation or two talking about abstract sculpture and abstract organic free-flowing forms, because that's what I'd really like it to be, is an abstract free-flowing set of organic forms that flow one into another and that really doesn't look like anything in nature or anything that you've seen before. And that's going to take a little bit of prep to get you into that mindset. But anyway, hope that answered your question, Catherine. We're going to try to do another sculpture. It's going to be our first sculpture in the round. And we're going to just keep pushing the boundaries of what's comfortable with the next sculpture. And it's going to take 3 weeks to do that sculpture. So there's going to be lots of demonstrations on my part and a lot of work on your part, plus cussing me out, in the confines of your own home. But we'll get together on Tuesdays and Thursdays and have it out. And in the fullness of time, you'll all get a non-objective, free-form organic sculpture completed that we're even going to have to hollow out some parts of because they might still be too thick to fire successfully in the kiln without hollowing them out. So I'm going to walk us through this whole process and get you there, and that'll be great. If you've taken my classes before, you know that in the winter time, I like to do human figure sculpture, and that's where we're in the studio and I hire a model to pose nude for the class so that we can learn the forms and proportions of the human body. So in that class, I like to do a portrait bust at the beginning of the class where we have a clothed model and we learn the forms and proportions of the head and shoulders. And then after that, we do a reclining figure with a nude model that is reclining so that we can do that kind of draped reclining human body. And I also do a vertical pose of some kind. Usually they're sitting in a chair, sitting upright in a vertical composition. So the reclining figure is a horizontal composition. The upright figure is a vertical composition, and then we also do a portrait bust head, full-size portrait bust. So that's what I like to do winter quarter. The challenge is, with COVID, are we going to get to do that? Are we going to be able to come into this studio with masks and social distancing and be able to have a nude model who will also have a mask on and want to be social distanced? And can we achieve that winter quarter, or are we going to still be shut down and have to try to figure out something that's going to be remote? That's the challenge for me that we're going to figure out in the next 4 months. But that's winter quarter in case you want to come back for human figure sculpture winter time. And the next assignment is going to be an abstract freeform sculpture that we're going to start next week. Having said all that and bored you to tears, I think I'm going to, call it a day for now. So I'm going to switch back to talking head version of this thing, and I'm going to, look at all you guys and see how you're doing. No more ideas, I think. And so, or I mean, no more questions, it looks like. And so I'm going to sign off for now. I thank you so much for joining me today for this demonstration. I wish you good luck in finishing up your mask, and get both of your masks delivered to me on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and I'll be able to collect them up and bring them inside for safekeeping, drying, and firing. And if you can bring them on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday when I'm here, I can get you another bag of clay and another board sent out your way for the next sculpture too. So if
Oh,
nothing else, let's try to bring masks over here on Friday afternoon. Um, or if you can come Friday afternoon around 2 o'clock, between 2 and 3, that would be great, because I get done teaching my design class at 2, and then I can give you my undivided attention in receiving your masks and giving you out new boards and bags of clay to get us prepped for the next sculpture next week. So Friday afternoon at 2 would be the optimal time, and otherwise bring your masks over whenever, and I will find them on the back step and I'll bring them inside. So for now, thank you very much. Have a good middle of your week, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Bye-bye for now.